To reduce the risk of injury to workers due to shock and arc flash hazards, shock and approach boundaries have been implemented. The limited, restricted, and prohibited approach boundaries are based on the voltage of the energized equipment and are stipulated by the locally enforced electrical procedures and regulations. The limited approach boundary is the minimum distance from the energized item where an unqualified person can safely stand. If another employee must work at or beyond the limited approach boundary to perform a task, such as an inspection, then an electrical worker must advise them of the possible hazards and ensure that the employee is safeguarded. Record of this is kept in the risk assessment documentation. The restricted approach boundary is the distance from an exposed energized part where there is an increased risk of shock or arc flash due to the proximity of the part. Only qualified electrical workers are allowed in this area. Non-qualified workers are never allowed in this area. PPE is required when working at the restricted approach boundary, including voltage-rated gloves. The prohibited approach boundary is essentially the same as contacting live parts. This would be done with tools or test equipment, but is considered the same as if you were contacting live parts with your hands. Crossing a prohibited boundary is considered working on exposed, energized conductors or circuit parts. Prior to crossing a prohibited approach boundary, an electrical worker must have appropriate authorization. The arc flash boundary is a distance from an exposed, energized electrical part, but is different from the approach boundaries. It is based on the energy that could be released in the event of an arc fault explosion rather than voltage. Check with your local procedures what the arc flash boundary stipulation is in your region.